Hi everyone. Today I will be doing a presentation on exploring careers and majors. Just a quick introduction and summary for this video. I will be discussing the 6 main career clusters that are involved when you are choosing a career path, and also including the majors that you might want to consider when applying for these careers in the future. So let's begin. So a lot of people, when I ask them what they want to do or what major they're going to choose when they apply to college, they often respond with they don't know. And that's perfectly fine. You don't really have to know what you want to major in, not even when you're actually in college. You can be a freshman who you don't know what you're doing, you don't know anything, and you can be a senior and you don't need to know what you're doing either. But it would be helpful if you have kind of like an idea of what you want to do, just in case you don't want to be anticipating or like anxious that you're going into college not knowing, and that's perfectly fine. But sometimes you just want to narrow down your options so it'll be easier. So when you actually have to make that decision, it can be now or it can be later, but nothing is clear in the college application process. So just remember that. So first things first, when you're choosing a career path, you always want to look at your personal interests and skills before anything else. It's always important to consider yourself when you're applying to these majors and these careers, because you're the one who's going to be in this job. You're going to be the one who's applying to this university, not anyone else. You're going to be there for the next 4 years, and it's your future. So you want to be in control of that. No matter what anyone else tells you, you do what's best for you. So I recommend when you're deciding what career path you want to go along, I recommend you make a list of all your interests, your passions, basically anything that you see yourself doing in the future, anything that will impact that decision later. So what questions you want to ask yourselves when making this list? You want to ask yourself, what do you like doing? What are you good at? What challenges you? What drives you? Inspires you? In the future, what do you see yourself doing? And you don't have to know these answers right away, because sometimes people don't know what they're good at. And I recommend that if you don't have an idea, you don't really know what you're good at, you're definitely good at something. Everyone has a skill. Everyone has something that makes them unique. So if you're struggling with finding those skills, I recommend taking an aptitude test, which can help you maybe see what you're good at, what careers might be best for you based on your personality, and any unknown skills or maybe skills that you don't recognize in yourself. So it will definitely make the process easier. So there are a lot of majors that you can choose from, but they typically tend to be condensed into 6 categories. So these are the 6 career clusters. We have arts and communications, business, health, human services, engineering/industrial, and natural resources. So the first one that we will be discussing is arts and communication. So this career cluster mostly appeals to people who want to do innovative work, expressive work, want to express themselves, creative, hands-on most of the time. However, it doesn't have to be. There are a lot of different sectors. So there's the arts sector and there's communications. And communications and arts can often differ. It's a very wide range. So as I was saying, the careers that fall under this category are very varied, and they can include careers up to journalism and media. They don't have to be necessarily arts. They can be anything. Like creative can fall under a lot of things. And I recommend that, especially if you're into visual arts and if you're an arts conservatory student, then this might apply to you. And if you're not in arts conservatory, but this range of, especially again, visual arts, then I definitely recommend applying for arts conservatory if you're in Somerset, because your chances of getting into that career, for example, like dance, drama, band, or music, and visual art, you will definitely have a bigger chance of getting into that university or to that major program or getting that career if you're in a school that's dedicated to the arts. So you always want to consider your options and make it easier for yourself. So there are things that you can do to further explore this career and to help you get, I guess, an advantage at getting into these universities for this major or just being successful. So I always recommend looking at sample resumes when you're applying or you're going to pursue a certain career. And especially you want to do this probably years before, because, for example, as I put here, if you are an aspiring dancer, you may want to look at a past dancer's or a past successful dancer's resume to see what they did to get into this program, to get this opportunity. So you can kind of make your own checklist of things you have to do by looking at someone else's, and you see, oh, you're like, okay, so I have to raise the stakes, or hey, I have to do this. So it's always good to see what someone else did. Another thing is that internships are really important. This applies more to the communication side of it. So like journalism, public relations. And an example I put is you can try contacting local newspapers for internships or jobs, because overall this shows that you have experience and you're very interested, you're taking this seriously. So you can even start this now. You can especially look at internships when you're in college, which is when they're going to matter the most, maybe. But you can start doing this now. And lastly, this applies to all of the career clusters, but having connections is very important, and especially for the arts, because sometimes you have to know a person or you have to establish relationships with people, because in the arts, it can be very competitive. So you always want to have that advantage over another person, and why you should get that job or you should get that position. And to the right, I have some universities that are best known or are exceptional in these majors. So this is just some examples of some programs that you can look into. And lastly, I have some resources. For example, the dance resume that I was talking about, I put an example there. And this PowerPoint is going to be available in my email distribution list. So if you want access to these links or whatever, you can fill out the Google form, and I'll just add you and you're going to have access to it. So yeah. So the next career cluster we have is business. So this is mostly about organizations and administering, helping run an organization, making sure it runs productively and efficiently. And there's different sectors of business. You can work in corporate, you can work in a non-profit, or you can work in government. But business, again, is also very big. It's vast. There's a lot of sectors and different jobs involved in business. So some careers that fall under this category include the ones listed below, and some may be better suited for certain people with certain skills compared to others. For example, if you are rather skilled in math, you might want to consider finance or accounting, as those might be, you can succeed in those. And it's just overall different careers based on yourself. So that's why I said the aptitude test would probably help you narrow down these options. And in the meantime, you can take action now. You can take classes at your school to kind of introduce you into the world of business, So for example, at Somerset, you can join clubs such as DECA, where you can go to competition, you can compete with other schools, you can learn about business as an extracurricular. And if you are interested in taking actual classes at school, at Somerset, they offer ACE Business. So that would also look very good on your transcript when you're applying for a major in business or any of the ones listed below. So that's always a good thing to consider when you have it available to you. So things you can do to further explore a career in business. An important one is to reach out to professional organizations, because sometimes they offer job fairs where you can meet with people and you can not only establish connections, but it's going to help you when you apply to jobs in the future. And if you manage to get a job with that company, it'll just help you, I guess, mature your knowledge in the world of business. And creating a LinkedIn account would also help in terms of establishing connections, because you can make it easier for people to look out for you if you are looking for a specific job. Overall, it just helps connectivity. And also internships it's going to be important in about every career cluster, but you just want to look out for those. And an internship in business would probably help a lot compared to maybe the arts, because an internship is just going to establish again that you are very professional and you want to pursue this career. And a summer enrichment program would also benefit. You will also benefit from. But some of these programs, they're not an option for some people, because I know that they can be costly. But you can also apply for scholarships, from what I know, for some of them, if you do not have the finances to pay for such a program. But you will also gain a lot of experience in those programs. You can also start researching business schools now. So when you're applying to those schools, you already know the requirements, you already know what you have to do, you already know the experience you need. So you always want to be ahead of the game. You always want to have the advantage over the other people, because there's going to be a lot of people, especially in business, which is a very big, very vast career cluster. You always want to have the advantage. And also looking for jobs, specifically when you're at these job fairs or you're just looking for internships, you want to look for ones that are going to benefit you the most and that are going to help you with your in the future. Hold on, I gotta go back. So you want to look for a job that's going to help you in the future. And an example of some of these skills that you should look out for when joining or looking for a job should be communication, anything with teamwork, problem solving. There can also be like data analysis. There's a multitude of things, but you just want to keep an eye out for those. And here's some resources, as I said before. And the last career cluster that we're going to cover in this video is the health profession career cluster. So the health career cluster is probably one of the biggest ones that you can find, because there's so many health professions out that exist there, and there's just so many different categories and occupations that go into it. So this is probably one of the ones that you want to research the most. I myself am looking to go into a health profession, and I can tell you it can be pretty complicated, but with enough research and dedication, it's definitely achievable on all levels. So a health profession often involves from a multitude of things. You can help maintain the health of the clients, preventing diseases, delivering healthcare to certain individuals, or you can conduct research or improve medicines, improve methods, and basically there's two sides to it. There's research and like private care, as like a doctor would do, as you would like a pediatrician, and research that you would do in a lab. Those are typically the two categories that you would fall into, but there's a ton that you can research. So these are just some of a very long list of careers that fall into this category. And again, it mostly depends on what you're good at. You don't necessarily have to be good at a science or math to do some things, because there's so many different things. There's health education. So if you want to be a teacher, if you've always been interested in education, there's a career for you in health. There's physical education, nursing, there's neurology. If you're more interested in a certain part of the body, if you're interested in athletic training, there's at Somerset, there's a lot of different options. So that's a very good thing to go to Somerset. You have a lot of different health career options available to you, to various opportunities that can help you. So for example, HOSA is a very good club. It's basically just like DECA at Somerset, where you can compete against other schools, assessing your skills in different skills and knowledge in health careers, while also just gaining experience. And it will look very good when you're applying in colleges, especially if you win in these competitions. And if you're actually looking to take certain classes at Somerset that are going to help you on your transcript and look better, there are AP classes available, such as AP Biology, AP Chemistry, that will probably look good when you're applying to these colleges. And they also have elective programs. So if you're not interested or you do not want to take the rigor of AP, there's PLTW at Somerset, which is a 3-year program that you can take, and you will get certification at the end of the 3 years, which starts off with principles of biomedical science, and it's a very good program. So if you're interested in the health profession career cluster, then I think it's a very good opportunity if you go to Somerset. So the good thing about this career cluster is that there are a multitude of things you can do to explore this career and gain experience. Volunteer opportunities are very important. And if you're going to go to medical school, they want you to do a lot of volunteer and a lot of research. So you kind of want to get that in your brain earlier. You want to be prepared for all that, because they want to know that you're dedicated. They want to know that you're willing to do all these hours and put all these hours into your future. So for example, volunteering at a hospital is going to help you greatly, because they're going to see that not only are you dedicated to putting all these hours into this profession, but this is going to demonstrate like experience. So also looking for internships, again, is you're going to see that in every career cluster, but more specifically for this one, probably you see a lot of doctor shadowing. So you want, it's very difficult to find these opportunities, especially shadowing a doctor. That is going to be very difficult. But again, establishing connections is probably the most important thing you can do. If you establish these connections, they're going to benefit you greatly in the future. And lastly, if none of these, or the ones I listed before, if for some reason you can't achieve these, especially since we have Corona right now, and volunteering and looking for these internships and shadowing a doctor, they're going to be very difficult, but there's no excuse. You can always educate yourself on these categories before you go into it. And universities will actually appreciate that you are educated on these careers. So reading medical books geared toward these professions are very beneficial, because you're going to learn a lot about what you want to go into, and it'll actually help you probably establish a career, a specific career. So yeah, you can say, oh, I want to go into medicine, but medicine is very vast. So if you read these books, or if you educate yourself on the different types of careers that are specific careers that are involved in the health professions, then it'll make your options so much easier. You'll probably find something you're very passionate about and you didn't even know. And also, something that I recently discovered was virtual shadowing on YouTube. They're just videos where you can learn about these, and in some cases, I'm pretty sure you can also get volunteer hours, and it's all virtual and free. So you can just take advantage of that, especially now. And here are some resources.